Everyone thought they knew her story. But the truth was hidden in what no one stayed long enough to see. The boardroom fell silent when Austin Mercer walked out. Not because he'd closed a deal. He hadn't. Not because he'd won. He'd just sacrificed everything. The journalists waiting outside would soon learn that the untouchable tech billionaire had done the impossible. He'd chosen love over empire, a woman over his legacy, redemption over reputation. This is the story of how a man who had everything found the only thing worth losing it all for, and how the woman who'd let him go 6 years ago called one last time. Not for rescue, but to say goodbye. But wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This story didn't begin in that boardroom with flashing cameras and stunned shareholders. No. This story started 6 years earlier, on a sun-drenched afternoon in San Francisco, when a young man hungry for success met a young woman determined to change the world, and neither of them realized they were about to fall impossibly, irrevocably in love. Before we dive into Austin and Zoe's journey, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Yes, you, reading this right now. Whether you're a hopeless romantic who believes in second chances, someone who's ever had to choose between love and ambition, or you're just here for a story that will make you feel something real, thank you for being here. Now, let's go back to where it all began. They met at a tech conference in San Francisco where neither of them belonged. Austin was 26, running a startup out of his apartment, surviving on ramen and ambition. Zoe was 24, finishing her master's in social work at Howard. There, on a diversity scholarship she'd fought tooth and nail to get. She'd sat in on his panel about ethical tech development and called him out in front of 300 people. "You talk about changing the world," she'd said, standing in the back of the auditorium. "But your entire business model depends on monetizing user data from communities you'll never set foot in. How is that ethical?" Austin should have been angry. Instead, he was mesmerized. They argued for 2 hours in the hotel bar. Then they talked until sunrise. Then they spent every moment of the next 3 days together. And by the time the conference ended, Austin knew he was in love. "Come to Martha's Vineyard with me," he'd said at the airport, desperate not to let her disappear back to DC. "I have a week before my next investor meeting. Just come." She'd smiled that devastating smile. "You're crazy. About you." Yes. So she came. And that week became the blueprint for everything Austin would spend the next 6 years trying and failing to replicate. They walked beaches at midnight, talked about dreams hers to build community centers in forgotten neighborhoods, his to create technology that actually helped people instead of exploiting them. "You're going to be a billionaire someday," Zoe had said one night, lying in his arms as the ocean whispered beyond the windows. "I can see it. You have that hunger. Maybe. But only if you're there when I get there." She'd gone quiet then. "Austin, you know that's not realistic." "Why not?" "Because you're building an empire. That takes everything you have. All your time, all your focus, all your energy. I've seen it happen. My father tried to build a business and be present for us. He failed at both." She'd turned to face him. "And I'm building something too. Something that matters to me as much as your company matters to you. So we build together." "In what world?" "You'll be in Silicon Valley. I'll be in Atlanta or DC or wherever the communities that need me are. You'll be working 80-hour weeks trying to beat your competitors. I'll be working 80-hour weeks trying to save kids from falling through the cracks." Her eyes had filled with tears. "We can't do this halfway, Austin. Either we commit everything to each other and watch our dreams die, or we what? Or we let each other go while we still love each other enough to want the best for each other." Austin had held her tighter. I don't accept that. There has to be a way. But there wasn't. They spent 2 more months flying coast to coast, stealing weekends, exhausting themselves. Austin's investors started complaining about his lack of focus. Zoe nearly failed a crucial exam because she'd been on a red-eye from San Francisco. The end came on a Tuesday in October, in Austin's tiny apartment in Palo Alto. I got the grant, Zoe had said quietly. Full funding for my first community center in Atlanta. It's everything I've been working for. That's amazing. Austin had meant it, even as his heart shattered. You deserve it. Austin, you're going to tell me we can't keep doing this. Can we? Honestly? She'd taken his hands. You just landed your Series B funding. Your company is about to explode. You need to be all in. And I need to be all in for those kids in Atlanta. We're both trying to change the world, just in different ways, in different places. I love you. I love you too. That's why I have to let you go. Tears streamed down her face. Because if we keep trying to do this, we'll end up resenting each other. You'll resent me for holding you back from your potential. I'll resent you for not understanding why I can't just follow you around while you build your empire. And we'll lose what we have, this beautiful thing, and replace it with bitterness. Austin had wanted to fight, to argue, to promise he'd make it work somehow. But looking into her eyes, he saw the same certainty he felt about his company's future. She knew what she needed to do, and she was right. I'm always going to love you, he'd whispered. You know that, right? No matter what happens, no matter who else comes along. It's always going to be you. I know. Same. She'd kissed him one last time, tasting of salt and goodbye. Go build your empire, Austin Mercer. Make it so big that when I see your name in the news, I'll smile and think that's my guy. He did it. Go save the world, Zoe Davis. Make those kids' lives better. Show everyone what real change looks like. They'd held each other until her Uber arrived. And then she was gone. Austin threw himself into his company with the fury of a man trying to outrun heartbreak. He worked 100-hour weeks, made billions, built an empire, dated beautiful women who looked good in photographs and meant nothing. And every time he saw his reflection in a boardroom window, he wondered if Zoe would be proud of what he'd become or horrified. 6 years later, Austin was in Tokyo when Zoe's name flashed across his phone screen at 3 a.m. He hadn't heard from her in all that time. They'd agreed clean break, no contact. It was the only way to move forward. But he'd followed her career obsessively through Google alerts and social media. Watched from afar as she opened her community center. Saw the local news stories about the difference she was making. He'd almost called her 100 times. Never did. Now her name glowed in the darkness, and Austin's hands shook as he answered. Zoe? Silence. Then breathing wet, labored, wrong. Austin. Her voice was barely a whisper, thick with something that sounded like pain. I'm sorry. I know, we said. I know I shouldn't call. But I couldn't. I couldn't go without telling you. Every nerve in Austin's body went electric with fear. Go where? Zoe, what's happening? Where are you? It doesn't matter. A sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. I just needed to hear your voice. One more time. I needed you to know that I never stopped loving you. Every day for 6 years, Austin. Every single day. Zoe, you're scaring me. Talk to me. What's going on? I made mistakes. Trusted the wrong people. And now, her breath hitched, and Austin heard something that chilled his blood, a wet cough, the kind that came with internal bleeding. There were these men, dealers, loan sharks. I don't even know anymore. I owe them money I don't have. They came to the center tonight. There was a fight. I tried to stop them from hurting the kids and they… They what? Austin was already moving, grabbing his laptop, his phone, his wallet. Zoe, they what? It doesn't matter. The kids are safe. That's what matters. Another cough, weaker this time. I'm in the center. I don't think. I called 911, but I don't know if they'll get here in time. And I needed to tell you that letting you go was the hardest thing I ever did, that I've never loved anyone else, that if I could go back… Don't. Austin's voice cracked. Don't you dare say goodbye to me. Austin, I'm calling to say I love you. I'm calling because if these are my last words, I want them to be to you. No. No. Austin was pulling up every resource he had. Send me your location. Right now. There's no point. You're in Tokyo. Even if you flew here, I'm getting you help. Local help. But I need your location. He was already calling Kane Whitfield, his head of security. Zoe, please. If you love me, send me your location. A long pause. His phone chimed with a location pin. Southwest Atlanta, the address of her community center. Austin had Kane on the line instantly. Kane, I need a medical team in Atlanta. Best trauma surgeons, best paramedics. I don't care what it costs. I'm sending you coordinates. There's a woman there who's been hurt. I want our people there. 5 minutes ago. On it. Kane didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate. That's why Austin paid him 7 figures a year. Zoe, help is coming. Stay with me. You didn't have to do that. Like hell I didn't. You think I'd let you die because we were too proud to call each other for 6 years? Austin was booking a flight with his other hand, chartering a private jet. Stay on the line with me. Talk to me. About what? Her voice was fading. Anything. Tell me about the center. Tell me what you've built. It's beautiful, Austin. Are you happy? The question hit Austin like a physical blow. He stood in his Tokyo hotel suite, surrounded by luxury, fresh off closing a deal that would make him another $1 billion. He had everything he'd ever wanted. Except her. No, he admitted. I'm not. Every success felt empty because you weren't there to share it with. Every deal I closed, every milestone I hit, I wanted to call you. Tell you about it. Hear you be proud of me. His voice broke. I was wrong, Zoe. About everything. I thought I needed to build the empire first. Then I could have a life. But the empire was supposed to be for us. And without you, it's just money. Austin. She was too exhausted now. He could hear it. I love you. So much. Stay alive for me. Please. He heard voices, then paramedics. People shouting. Someone saying stab wound to the abdomen and significant blood loss, and Austin's world narrowed to a single point of focus. Get to Atlanta. Save her. Never let her go again. The line went dead. Sir, you have the Senate hearing on Thursday, his assistant reminded him when he called to confirm. The Antitrust Committee. If you don't show, I don't care. Mr. Mercer, with respect, they could break up the company. This hearing is… I said I don't care. Something more important came up. More important than Mercer Tech, the company he'd built from nothing into a $100 billion empire. More important than the hearing that could determine whether that empire survived. His assistant was silent, shocked. In 6 years, nothing had ever been more important than the company. But that was before Zoe's voice, fractured and afraid, had dragged him back to a version of himself he thought he'd buried, the version that still remembered what it felt like to care about something more than quarterly earnings. The flight from Tokyo to Atlanta was 14 hours, but it felt like eternity. Kane called with updates every 30 minutes. She's in surgery. Stab wound to the lower abdomen, nicked an artery. Lost a lot of blood, but Dr. Reeves, the trauma surgeon I brought in from Johns Hopkins. He's the best, so she'll be fine. Who did this to her? Gang affiliated with a loan shark operation called the Castellano Organization. According to police reports, Miss Davis took out a loan from them 6 months ago to keep her center running. When she couldn't pay, they came to collect. She fought back when they threatened the children. One of them stabbed her. Austin's hands clenched into fists. Names. I want every name. Sir, with respect, this is a police matter. I don't care. Get me names. Everything you can find on the Castellano Organization. Every business, every asset, every person who works for them. A pause. Are you sure you want to go down this road? They almost killed her, Kane. They stabbed her and left her to die because she borrowed money to help children. Austin's voice was ice. I'm not just going down this road. I'm burning it to the ground with them on it. By hour 6 of the flight, Austin had assembled a team. Lawyers, investigators, federal contacts. He made calls to people he'd done favors for over the years, collected on debts owed. By hour 10, he had a complete dossier on the Castellano family. Dominic Castellano, the patriarch. His son Vincent, who ran their street operations. Their lieutenant Edward Chen, who handled enforcement. By hour 12, Austin had a plan. Kane called again. She's out of surgery. Critical but stable. They repaired the artery and she received 4 units of blood. Dr. Reeves says she'll make it, but recovery will be long. Austin felt something in his chest unclenching for the first time in 14 hours. Can she have visitors? ICU only allows family. Then make me family. I don't care how you do it. When Austin's plane landed in Atlanta, a convoy was waiting. Kane, plus 6 security personnel Austin recognized from various assignments. They drove straight to Emory University Hospital, where Zoe had been transferred after the surgery. Austin walked into the ICU like he owned it, which, after the donation he'd made in the car on the way over, he essentially did. The nurse tried to stop him. Sir, only family. I'm her husband. The lie came easily. I flew in from Tokyo. Please. The nurse looked at Kane, who somehow produced paperwork that made it official. Austin didn't ask how. And then he was standing in her room. Zoe lay in the hospital bed, looking impossibly fragile. Tubes and wires connected her to machines that beeped steadily. Her hair was spread across the pillow like a halo, and even pale and unconscious. She was the most beautiful Austin had ever seen. He pulled a chair to her bedside, took her hand carefully, mindful of the IV. I'm here, he whispered. I told you I'd come, and I'm not leaving. Not ever again. Her fingers twitched in his. Even unconscious, some part of her knew. Austin sat there for 3 hours, just watching her breathe, before Kane appeared in the doorway. Sir, we have a situation. Not now. It's about the Castellanos. They're sending people to the hospital. That got Austin's attention. What? Apparently, they heard Mrs. Davis survived. They're concerned she'll talk to the police, identify her attackers. They're sending someone to ensure her silence. Austin stood slowly, his expression going cold. How long do we have? An hour. Maybe less. Double the security on this floor. No one gets near her room who isn't medical staff we've personally vetted. Austin looked back at Zoe's sleeping form. And get me a meeting with Dominic Castellano. Tonight. Sir, these people. I know exactly what these people are. and they're about to learn what happens when you threaten someone I love. The meeting was set for Sunday morning at a restaurant the Castellanos owned in Buckhead. Neutral ground, Kane had insisted, though nothing about this was neutral. Austin arrived with Kane and 2 lawyers. The Castellanos brought 6 men, all of them radiating the kind of casual violence that came from years of getting away with it. Dominic Castellano sat at the head of the table, a man in his 60s with silver hair and cold eyes. Next to him, his son Vincent, younger and meaner, with the look of someone who enjoyed his work. Mr. Mercer. Dominic's voice was smooth, almost friendly. I have to admit, when Vincent told me a billionaire wanted to meet about a debt, I was intrigued. We don't usually run in the same circles. Then let's make this quick. Austin slid a folder across the table. That's an offer to purchase your entire operation. Every business, every property, every asset. $500 million. The offer expires in 48 hours. Vincent laughed. You want to buy us out? Over some girl? I want to resolve a situation, Austin corrected. This is the cleanest way to do it. You walk away rich, Miss. Davis walks away free. We all move on. Dominic opened the folder, scanned the contents. His expression didn't change. Interesting. You know what I find most interesting, Mr. Mercer? That you think we're for sale. Everything's for sale at the right price. Not loyalty. Not legacy. Dominic closed the folder. My father built this organization. My grandfather before him. You think I'd sell that for money? I have money. What I have is respect. Power. You can't buy that at any price. Then what do you want? Vincent leaned forward, his smile predatory. What we want is what we're owed. The girl signed a contract. She owes us $250,000 plus interest. Plus penalties for non-payment. Call it $1 million all in. Fine. I'll wire you $1 million today. No. Dominic's voice was sharp now. You misunderstand. This isn't about money anymore, Mr. Mercer. Your girl disrespected us. Refused to honor her debt. Fought back when we came to collect. Then she brings in outside help, thinking she's untouchable because some billionaire is playing knight in shining armor. He stood slowly. That's a problem. Because if word gets out that people can disrespect the Castellano family and walk away clean, we lose everything that matters. Austin stood as well, meeting Dominic's eyes. So this is about ego. This is about respect. Vincent was standing now too, his hand drifting toward his jacket in a gesture that was clearly meant to intimidate. She works for us now, however we want, until her debt is paid. Those are the terms. That's not going to happen, Austin said quietly. Then we have a problem. Dominic's eyes were flat, emotionless. See, Mr. Mercer, you're used to a world where money solves everything. Where lawyers and contracts and polite negotiations make things happen. That's not this world. In this world, when someone disrespects you, you make an example. If you touch her again, we'll do whatever we want. And you? Dominic stepped closer. You'll learn what it costs to stick your nose in business that doesn't concern you. Austin felt Kane's hand on his arm, a warning to de-escalate. But something in Austin had shifted. You're right, Austin said calmly. I am used to a world where money solves problems. But I'm also used to a world where problems that can't be solved with money get solved with power. And I have a lot more power than you think. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. Austin pulled out his phone, made a call. It's me. Execute. Within seconds, every phone in the room buzzed simultaneously except Austin's and Kane's. Vincent pulled out his phone, and his face went white. Dad. Dominic grabbed the phone, read the screen. His calm facade cracked. What you're looking at, Austin explained, is a federal indictment. 47 counts, including racketeering, money laundering, drug trafficking, and murder conspiracy. The FBI has been building a case against your organization for 3 years. As of 10 minutes ago, that case was delivered to the U.S. Attorney's Office by anonymous donors, who also provided additional evidence your organization didn't know existed. You're bluffing. Check the news. Vincent was already scrolling his phone. Dad, it's real. They're reporting federal raids across the city. They're hitting all our locations. At the same time, Austin continued, I've purchased the debt on every property you own. Every mortgage, every business loan, every line of credit. As of this morning, I own your entire operation not because you sold it to me, but because you leveraged it so heavily that buying the debt was trivial. He smiled, and it was cold. The federal government is seizing your illegal assets. I'm seizing your legal ones. In about an hour, the Castellano organization will cease to exist. Dominic's face had gone purple. You can't. I already did. Turns out when you spend years building a tech empire, you learn a lot about moving information quickly. About leveraging data. About finding pressure points and exploiting them. Austin picked up his folder, tucked it back in his briefcase. Here's what's going to happen now. You're going to sign a release absolving Miss Davis of all debts. You're going to order your people to never contact her or anyone associated with her community center again. And then you're going to pray that the U.S. attorney offers you a plea deal that keeps you out of prison for the rest of your life. You've made an enemy you can't afford, Dominic growled. No. You made an enemy you couldn't afford the moment you threatened someone I love. Austin buttoned his jacket. The difference between us, Mr. Castellano, is that you've spent your whole life being the biggest shark in a small pond. I've spent mine competing with sharks who could buy and sell you before breakfast. You were out of your depth the moment you let me into this room. Vincent lunged forward, but Kane and his team moved faster, weapons drawn in a heartbeat. The Castellano men reached for their own guns, and for a moment the restaurant balanced on the edge of violence. Don't, Kane said quietly. Federal agents are on their way here right now. You pull those weapons. You add assault charges to everything else. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Dominic stared at Austin with pure hatred. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Austin headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Dominic? The evidence I provided to the FBI? That's going to dismantle corruption networks in half of Atlanta's city government. You had cops, judges, city officials on your payroll. They're all going down with you. I just helped federal prosecutors crack one of the biggest corruption cases in Georgia history. He smiled. Turns out that kind of public service earns a lot of goodwill. The kind that might save a billionaire's reputation when he needs it most. He walked out as the first FBI vehicles pulled up outside. The fallout was spectacular. By Monday morning, Austin's absence from the Senate antitrust hearing was front-page news. Tech billionaire skips critical government review, read the headlines. Mercer Tech CEO a WOL during antitrust testimony. By Tuesday, the board had called an emergency meeting. Shareholders were panicking. The stock had dropped 18%. By Wednesday, 3 board members had publicly called for Austin's removal as CEO. Austin watched it all from Zoe's hospital room, her hand in his as she slept, recovering from surgery. The Wall Street Journal is calling you reckless, Kane reported, standing by the window. They're saying you've lost focus, that you're sacrificing your company for personal reasons. They're not wrong, sir. The Senate hearing they're threatening to issue a subpoena. If you don't appear, they could hold you in contempt. Let them. Austin's eyes never left Zoe's face. I'm not leaving her. Austin. Delilah Thorne's voice came through the speakerphone on the table. The board is in full revolt. They want you out. If you don't come back, if you don't testify, they'll have the ammunition they need to remove you. Then they remove me. You're just going to give up? After everything you've built? I'm not giving up anything, Delilah. I'm choosing. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what actually matters. He looked at the phone. The company will survive without me. Or it won't, and I'll build something new. But I'm not losing her again. Not for a board meeting. Not for a hearing. Not for anything. There was a long pause. Then Delilah's voice softer. She must be incredible. She is. She's everything. Another pause. I'll try to hold things together on this end. But Austin, they're coming for you. The board, the government, the media. This is going to get ugly. I know. After Delilah hung up, Kane crossed his arms. Sir, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might turn this whole thing around. I'm listening. The Castellano takedown you just helped federal prosecutors crack a major corruption case. Cops, judges, city officials, all connected to organized crime. That's huge. What if we go public with it? Austin frowned. What do you mean? I mean, we control the narrative. You didn't skip the Senate hearing for personal reasons, you skipped it because you were working with federal law enforcement to dismantle a criminal organization that had infiltrated Atlanta's government. You're not a reckless CEO chasing a woman. You're a concerned citizen using your resources to fight crime and corruption. That's actually brilliant. But Austin looked at Zoe, still sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm brewing around them. But I don't want it anymore. Kane was shocked. Sir, he stuttered. Now I want to be with her, but I can't do that from Tokyo. She wouldn't have got hurt if I was here. I'm not leaving her again, Kane. Zoe woke 3 days later. Austin was asleep in the chair beside her bed, his hand still holding hers, when her fingers squeezed weakly. His eyes opened instantly. Zoe? Austin. Her voice was hoarse, but it was the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. You came. Of course I came. He moved closer, brushing hair from her face. How do you feel? Like I got stabbed. A weak smile. You should be in Tokyo. Your company. I don't care about the company. Zoe, when I got your call, when I thought I might lose you, nothing else mattered. Not the company, not the money, not my reputation. Just you. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm sorry I called. I know we said. Don't you dare apologize. That call saved your life. If you hadn't called, if I'd lost you without ever knowing. He couldn't finish the sentence. The men who did this. Taken care of. They're gone. They'll never touch you again. Zoe's eyes widened. Austin, what did you do? What I should have done 6 years ago. I chose you. Over everything else. Over the empire, over my company, over playing it safe. He brought her hand to his lips. I'm not leaving again, Zoe. I don't care if your dream is in Atlanta and mine is in Silicon Valley. I don't care if we have to figure out logistics or compromise or completely rebuild our lives. I'm not spending another day without you. Your company can survive without me for a while. Or it can't, and I'll build something new. Something that lets me be with you. Austin smiled. Turns out, when you have enough money, you can run a company from anywhere. And if the board doesn't like it, they can replace me. I don't care anymore. I'd rather fail trying with you than succeed alone. He kissed her forehead. I love you, Zoe Davis. I never stopped. And I'm not letting you go again. Zoe was crying openly now. I love you too. So much. Then let me fix this. Let me make it right. How? Austin pulled out his phone, showed her a series of documents. I've already started. Mercer Tech is establishing a foundation $200 million a year, dedicated to supporting community centers and grassroots organizations like yours. You'll run it if you want. We'll scale what you've built in Atlanta to 50 cities, 100 cities. You'll still change the world one kid at a time, just more kids. Austin, and I'm moving. There's a house in Buckhead I'm purchasing, 20 minutes from your center. I'll work remotely, fly to California when I need to, but my life is here now. With you. You can't just uproot your entire life. Watch me. Austin's smile was radiant. I've spent 6 years chasing success and finding emptiness. I'm done with that. I want a life that means something. I want to come home to you every night. I want to help you save those kids. I want to build something that actually matters. Zoe stared at him, stunned. You're serious. Completely serious. If you'll have me. If you're willing to try again. Try? Austin, you just demolished a criminal organization and restructured your entire life for me. I think we're past trying. She pulled him down for a kiss, mindful of her injuries. Yes. Yes, to all of it. To building our dreams together. To not being afraid anymore. To us. Yeah? Yeah. Austin kissed her again, deeper this time, 6 years of longing and regret and hope pouring into it. When they broke apart, both of them were crying. Outside the hospital room, Kane stood guard with a slight smile on his face. Tobias and Rise maintained their perimeter. The whole floor was locked down tighter than a federal building. But inside that room, 2 people who'd spent 6 years apart were finally home. The press had a field day. Tech billionaire abandons empire for love. Read the headlines. Austin Mercer missed hearing for a dramatic rescue of childhood sweetheart. The board called an emergency meeting. Shareholders panicked. The stock dropped 20% in 2 days. Austin didn't care. He attended the board meeting via video from Zoe's hospital room, her hand in his the entire time. Austin, you missed the hearing, and the investors are threatening to pull out of the partnership. Delilah complained. Then let them pull out. Let them? Delilah looked stunned. Austin, that's your life's work. And it's not worth one hair on Zoe's head. Austin's voice was calm, certain. Delilah, I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations effective immediately. You'll take over as CEO. I'll remain as chairman and majority shareholder, available for strategic decisions, but the operational details are yours now. The board erupted in protests. You're abandoning the company. This is a dereliction of your fiduciary duty. The shareholders will revolt. Austin waited for the noise to die down. I'm not abandoning anything. I'm delegating. Delilah is more than capable of running this company. She's been doing half my job for the last 3 years anyway, while I played figurehead. He smiled at her through the screen. You've earned this. If you want it. Delilah was silent for a long moment. Then, what about you? I'm starting something new. A foundation dedicated to supporting community development and grassroots organizations. Zoe will run it. I'll fund it. Together, we'll do something that actually changes lives instead of just making rich people richer. That's not what this company is about, one board member protested. No, but maybe it should be. Austin leaned forward. I built Mercer Tech to prove I could, to show the world I was smart enough, driven enough, ruthless enough to win. Well, I won, and it was empty. So now I'm building something else, something that matters. And if we refuse to accept your resignation as CEO, then I'll sell my shares and start over. Your choice. Austin's expression was hard. But I'm done sacrificing my life for quarterly earnings. I'm done choosing profit over people. If you can't support that, we part ways. Another long silence. Then Delilah spoke. I accept the position. On one condition. What's that? The foundation you're starting? Mercer Tech funds it. $200 million a year, like you said. We make it part of our corporate mission: technology for profit, foundation for purpose. We can be both. Austin felt something shift in his chest. You'd do that? This company was built on your vision. If your vision is evolving, we evolve with it. Delilah smiled. Besides, the optics are incredible. Tech Billionaire uses fortune to support communities plays a lot better than Tech Billionaire hoards wealth. Our approval ratings will go through the roof. Other board members were nodding now, warming to the idea. It's actually brilliant, one said. We get positive press, tax benefits, and we retain Austin's strategic mind. Everyone wins. The vote was unanimous. Delilah became CEO. Austin became chairman. The foundation became official. When he hung up the call, Zoe was staring at him with wonder. You just restructured a $100 billion company from a hospital room. I just made room in my life for what actually matters. Austin kissed her hand. How are you feeling? Do you need more pain medication? I need you to stop acting like this is normal. You just gave up everything. I gave up nothing I valued and gained everything I've ever wanted. Austin settled back in his chair, never releasing her hand. This is what I should have done 6 years ago. I'm just sorry it took almost losing you to figure it out. We were both scared. Both young and stupid. Yeah, but we're not anymore. Austin smiled. Now we're just in love and slightly less stupid. Zoe laughed, then winced at the pain in her abdomen. Ow. Don't make me laugh. Sorry. I'll save the comedy routine for when you're healed. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being together. Then Zoe said quietly, Thank you. For what? For coming. For fighting for me. For choosing me. Her eyes filled with tears. For making me believe that I'm worth choosing. Austin moved to the edge of the bed, carefully, and cupped her face. Zoe Davis, you are worth everything. Every sacrifice, every risk, every moment. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt that again. Promise? Promise. The ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Zoe Davis Community Center complex drew hundreds of people. What had started as a single building with donated furniture had expanded into a full city block, computer labs, sports facilities, tutoring centers, art studios, and a commercial kitchen for culinary training. Austin stood to the side, watching as Zoe addressed the crowd. She was radiant in a dress the color of sunset, her natural hair styled in elegant twists. The scar from the stabbing was hidden beneath the fabric, but Austin knew it was there, a reminder of how close he'd come to losing everything that mattered. When I started the first center, Zoe was saying, her voice strong and clear, I thought success would mean helping 50 kids, maybe 100. I never dreamed. She paused, her eyes finding Austin's in the crowd. I never dreamed that I'd have a partner who believed in this dream as much as I did. Who would fight for it? Who would help me scale it to 23 cities and counting? The crowd erupted in applause. Beside Austin, Kane appeared. Sir, Delilah's on the line. Something about the quarterly earnings. Tell her I'll call back after the ceremony. She said, it's good news. Revenues up 40%. Stock hit an all-time high. Austin smiled. See? The company didn't need me hovering over it every second. Tell her congratulations, and I'll call tomorrow. Kane grinned. She also said to tell you that you were right. Leading with purpose is good for business. I'm always right. She'll learn that eventually. Zoe finished her speech and made her way through the crowd toward him. Watching her move through the community she'd built, stopping to hug children and thank volunteers, Austin felt that same certainty that had filled him the night he'd decided to risk everything. This was what mattered. "Hey, billionaire." Zoe slipped her hand into his. "You're supposed to be mingling, not lurking in corners." "I'm not lurking. I'm admiring my fiancé's work." "Your fiancé's work that exists because you bulldozed a criminal organization and restructured your entire life." "Our work," Austin corrected. "You're the visionary. I'm just the guy who writes the checks and occasionally dismantles crime syndicates." "Occasionally," Zoe laughed. "Like it's a hobby." Austin pulled her close, not caring who was watching. "Speaking of which, I have news. The Castellano trial concluded today. Dominic got 15 years. Vincent got 20. Edward Chen turned state's evidence and got 5. It's really over. It's really over. They'll never touch you or anyone you love again." Zoe's eyes filled with tears. "I still can't believe you did all that. For me. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I'd do anything for you." Austin reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. "Which brings me to something I've been meaning to ask." Zoe's breath caught. "Austin, I know we've only been officially back together for a year. I know we're already engaged. But I realized I never actually asked you properly. I just kind of declared it in a hospital room while you were on pain medication." He opened the box, revealing a ring. A stunning emerald surrounded by diamonds. "So I'm asking now when you're fully conscious and can actually say no if you want to." "I'm not going to say no, you ridiculous man." "Let me finish." Austin took her hand. "Zoe Davis, you are the bravest person I've ever met. You built something beautiful from nothing. You fought for kids who had no one else fighting for them. You called me when you were dying not to ask for help, but to tell me you loved me. You've spent 6 years proving that real success isn't measured in dollars, but in lives changed. And I want to spend the rest of my life learning from you, building with you, and loving you." He smiled. "So will you marry me? Officially, with a proper proposal and a ring and witnesses?" Zoe was crying openly now, but she was also laughing. "You already know the answer. I want to hear you say it." "Yes, Austin Mercer. Yes, to everything. To building our dreams together. To not being afraid anymore. To spending our lives proving that love is worth more than empires." She held out her hand. "Now put that ring on my finger before I pass out from how perfect this moment is." Austin slipped the ring onto her finger, and the crowd around them, who'd been watching the whole thing, erupted in cheers and applause. Someone shouted, "Kiss her already!" So Austin did. He kissed her like he had that first night in Martha's Vineyard, like he had in the hospital when she'd survived, like he would every day for the rest of their lives, with everything he had, holding nothing back. When they broke apart, Zoe whispered, "I love you. I love you too. More than I ever thought it was possible to love anything." Later that night, they sat on the back porch in Zoe's apartment, watching the Atlanta skyline shimmer with lights. "Do you ever regret it?" Zoe asked quietly. "Stepping back from Mercer Tech? Giving up the daily control?" Austin considered the question. A year ago, he would have said it was impossible, that the company was his identity, his purpose, his everything. But now, not even for a second. "You know what I did today while you were at the center?" "What?" "I had coffee with Tobias. Just sat and talked for 2 hours about nothing important. Books we'd read, places we wanted to travel, his daughter's college applications. Normal stuff. I can't remember the last time I did something like that before I came back to you. That makes me happy. Me, too. And then I worked for 4 hours on the Foundation's expansion plans, talked to Delilah about some strategic decisions, had dinner with you, and came to watch you change lives. Austin pulled her closer. That's a full day. A meaningful day. And I didn't check my stock price once. You're lying. I saw you check it at lunch. Okay, once. But that's it. He kissed the top of her head. The point is, I'm happier now than I've ever been. Richer in all the ways that actually matter. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Better than okay. We're going to be extraordinary. Austin tilted her face up to look at him. Because we chose right this time. We chose love. We chose partnership. We chose to build something together instead of alone. When's the wedding? Whenever you want. Tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. I'm not in a hurry. I already know how this story ends. How? Happily. Austin smiled. With you beside me, changing the world one kid at a time. With me supporting you, fighting for you, loving you every single day. With both of us proving that the best things in life aren't things at all. They're the people we love and the lives we touch. Zoe rested her head on his shoulder, the emerald ring catching the light. That sounds like the perfect ending. No, Austin corrected softly. It's the perfect beginning. Around them, Atlanta hummed with life. A city full of people chasing dreams. But for now, in this moment, Austin Mercer and Zoe Davis simply existed together. Two people who'd built empires apart and chosen to build a life together. And who would spend the rest of their lives proving that love, when chosen with courage and commitment, could redeem even the deepest regrets and create something more beautiful than any empire. Some love stories end with sacrifice. This one began with it and became something eternal.